Hey guys, welcome back to The Grind, and today with me I have Jason, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm Jason. I'm from the review show called 3kb online. I produce music and t-shirt company stuff, all sorts of wild, crazy things.
So you're basically a super busy guy who, at one point in time, had a hamburger with Commander Shepard, as you told me.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough on my show to interview a couple very famous people, and yeah, Mark Mir was one of them. Commander Shepard from Mass Effect. I got to hang out with him one day. Well, many days now. We're friends now, so it's been exciting, especially eating a hamburger with him, and then getting him to be like, "This hamburger is delicious," and he's doing it in the voice, but it's weird.
The best hamburger on the Citadel or something like that?
Yeah, he said weird things like that before.
Dude, I'm honestly incredibly jealous that you got to hang out with him. I don't know, it's one of my favorite games, so. But then again, I played FemShep, so I wasn't as familiar with him, but still, pretty awesome. Alright, so, as for the first topic for today, it's a pretty big topic. The topics for today are some pretty heavy hitters. Not so much fun time, but more serious time, I guess. Nintendo recently took a huge hit. I think most people know that they're in a bad position right now. They currently are expecting about a 35 billion yen loss, from what I last heard, which is about $335 million. And they expected to have about a $100 billion yen profit. So as opposed to just getting, when you're a company, you obviously want to make a profit, but by taking a huge loss like that, especially with somebody who does something like building hardware, that's a pretty heavy hit to take. Even for Nintendo. I don't know how they can bounce back from that.
I totally agree. It's pretty, well, I'm guessing you don't know how old I am, but I grew up with, like, NES was basically brand new when I was a kid, and I remember playing that thing and having so much fun, but so much has changed since then, and they still think that they can just put a system out and have people go buy it because it's called Nintendo. But the thing about Nintendo right now is that they could bleed out money for the next like 25 years and they would still have money in the bank. So technically they're in trouble if you want to look at like this generation with the Wii U, but as a company, as a whole company, their value is still there. So they're not going to go out of business, but the Wii U is pretty much dead. I was just looking online at the release lists for all three of the next gen systems. I don't know if you want to call Wii U next gen, but there was like 25 for PS4, 25 for Xbox One, and then there was like 6 for the whole year so far for Wii U, and they're all sequels or things that we probably won't care about. And it was just like, this is a disaster. This is really bad.
It's kind of sad to see what happened, but I mean, they are a company that refuses to change a lot, which is really bad in a changing industry such as something with games, where it's constantly like, what's the next thing? How can we better this? They're one of the companies that really wants to stick to their roots, which is great for nostalgic purposes, but their main audience is usually younger. So it's like, to go for nostalgia with a younger, newer audience isn't the right way to go about it. But, I think it's really going to bite them in the ass, and eventually it's going to catch up to them. Maybe not for a while, but, they saw that the Wii did fabulous. It was selling out everywhere, and it was just doing remarkable. And then they thought, hey, let's basically take the same thing, shine it up a little bit, put a new name on it, a couple new features, and let's sell it again. And that doesn't really, I think a huge problem with what they did with the Wii U was their marketing, as well as, like, their target audience. It's like they always target casual gamers, usually. And casual gamers aren't going to go out and wait in line until, like at midnight and pick up a new thing. Like, the hardcore gamers are the ones that really care a lot. So they took the old system, they confused people, I think, by calling it the Wii U. Because, like, the Wii U doesn't sound like its own system. No. Like, even to me, it's like, what is that, an add-on? So I think it confused a lot of the people. Their audience weren't, they don't really understand how those things go. And the Wii U kind of came out, it was like, There was no big flash and pizzazz to it. Like when the Sony and Microsoft released their consoles, there was events. You know, there was giant televised things going on, and it was something you could, even if you didn't care about games, didn't know about games, you knew that the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 were coming out. Wii U,
Yes.
it kind of just went under the radar. So I think a lot of the things that the Nintendo is doing right now is just not right for what they're trying to put out.
I totally agree. I don't think I don't think they have their head in the game. Like, for instance, I saw an article stating that somebody at Nintendo, one of the developers of the online network, hadn't even used PSN or Xbox Live, and I was just like, how
What?
can, yeah, how can that be possible?
He's actually using his Xbox Connect on his Xbox One right now to actually film this and talk to us, which is really cool. It's a good example of what the Xbox One is capable of. But at the same time, it's also hard, I think, because we're talking about games, and he said Xbox, and
Yeah,
yeah, it kind
I
of
can't say it. For now on, I'll say X1,
the
and
X
I will,
Bone.
yeah, Xbone.
I hate that so much.
Yeah, I can't even talk about that because it'll send me into some menu and blow up or something.
Just call it the Microsoft console or something.
MS1 box. So, where was I? Oh yeah, so Wii U has definitely failed, and watching them try to save it is a joke. There's no way to save it. There is no way to save this system now, unfortunately. There's no third party, nobody wants to work on it. The indie game developers all want to work on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and PC. Nobody wants to go near it. So I don't the only thing it has for it is like a new Zelda, Metroid, and Mario Kart 9 or whatever we're up to. 8. Mario Kart 8.
I think they're kind of banking on the new Smash to really do well too.
Well, that too, yes. But, I just heard that the Mario Kart 8 has customizable tracks. I mean, you can actually build tracks with the gamepad.
Wow.
So like to say Mario Kart is a small franchise is an understatement. Like Mario Kart for the Wii sold 34 million units. Just Mario Kart. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but
I mean, Mario Kart has always done well for them, but that's another thing, though, is how long can they use these franchises and run them into the ground before nobody cares anymore? Like,
well,
that's their saving grace.
the thing about that though, my argument to everyone says like, oh, it's the same game. I'm just looking up that stat of Mario Kart. Um, the thing about that is though, every generation of kid comes into it and looks at it as like a new thing. So the people that are already there, they are complaining, but most of the kids that are playing it haven't played a Mario game. Like 5-year-olds,
Yeah.
6, 7-year-olds. So to them, it's like this amazing thing. To us, it's enjoyable, but it's not new.
Yeah.
And I think that Nintendo tries to reinvent that every time they make a new Mario game. They just try to appeal to the kids so they can keep them on board. And it's not like we're going anywhere anyways. We're still sitting around uh, buying Mario games. Like the new Mario game on the Wii U is probably the best Mario game I played for since Galaxy. Like it's amazing, but the rest of the system's not doing so well. Like I don't know why they sit on the money and they don't go and try to get exclusives, third-party exclusives. Imagine they had Grand Theft Auto 5 on the system, not as an exclusive, but just as a game. That would be with the gamepad. I mean, there's so many things they could do with it. I just don't They're just nuts to me. I don't know what they're doing.
I really don't understand what their pitch was with the Wii U. Like, let's take a system and let's kind of incorporate a handheld into it. Like, it just seemed very. Like, who are you targeting? Even casual gamers, I don't think, can get behind that. It just seemed very awkward. And, I mean, gamers, time and time again, prove that they like controllers. Like, a controller is an important thing for a console. If the controller sucks, the console's not going to really do that well. So it's
Mm.
like it's an important thing to have a good controller, and to do something like what they did, it was a new design, it was a new concept, it was interesting, but I don't know, I just didn't like it.
Yeah. I, well, according to the Mario Kart thing, and this is why I think Mario still lives on, according to this, or there's no actual number for some odd reason, but between 22 and 34 million copies. There's a few different sources here, like Wikipedia and whatnot, but even 20 million copies of a game sold on one system is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So think about how much profit they're just going to make on the Mario Kart. That's enough for them to laugh at everything else that's happening to them. Plus all the other games they have, like Legend of Zelda on Wii U. It better live up to what they're talking about, because if that doesn't, I'm probably going to be done with Nintendo for a while. I just don't want to buy another system and then be like, "Oh, I'm just playing Mario on it."
I really
But
enjoy their 3DS though. That's a really good handheld.
I actually have a 2DS and I love it. I love it.
Really.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know why. It fits better in my hands than even the XL, like the 3DS XL. It just fits better in my hands. Like I have bigger hands, so it just I don't know, just fits better for me. But for a kid, I still don't understand it. I mean, I don't know. It's just that's another weird thing. I think that if they have the technology, why not release another model of it to appeal to parents who are like, well, I don't want the 3D on and ruin my kid's eyes. Well, okay, there's a 2DS. Just go buy that now. I understand that and that makes sense to me, but
Yeah.
like same as Microsoft releasing this with Kinect. Like I'm using Kinect right now because it came with the system, but I think companies that offer different um, levels to their systems
Yeah.
are the better companies because they're going to just basically sell more based on that. And then moving into the future of Nintendo, the rumors are all about this sort of they're calling it the Stream, like the Nintendo Fusion actually. The Stream was going to be technically the name of the Wii U, but they changed that last second. Um, but the next Nintendo rumored system is called Nintendo Fusion. At least that's a code name inside the company, and it basically is going to be a home console and a portable console all in one. And I have a sneaking suspicion that you'll buy both of them in one box at on launch, and they'll be able to talk to each other just like an iPad would talk to an iMac, or like a Windows Phone talks to the X thing that I'm on right now. I can't say. I think that is a better way of going about it. So having a more powerful handheld system that can basically like having a Wii U in my hand in a little console that I can bring around, and then having something as powerful as say as like a PS4 as my home base, and having
Yeah.
them run on the exact same software is exactly what they need to do. So it's sort of like if I'm playing a Zelda game on the go and I'm really enjoying having fun, I should be able to just walk home, walk in, and then just switch to the big television. I think that's what they're planning on doing, and then designing games that have those mini game aspects of like 3DS to be able to go out there. So like imagine playing a Zelda game and you get to a little town and there's like fishing. Well, you know how sometimes you want to grind in those things, like grind at the fishing, like just collect coins and whatnot? What if you could just like sort of be like, okay, I'm going to just do this little mini game thing on my 3DS2 or whatever they're going to call it, like on the bus. Then when I get home, it talks to it and it's like, oh, you did this today on your drive or whatever on the bus, and we're going to put that into your main game. Same as like imagine playing Skyrim and being able to like do things that you could do on the go, like just small bursts of
Yeah.
mini games that would actually apply to your main game. And I think that's what they really need to focus on, because I love using the Vita, but I don't like using it with the PS4. I think that that's silly. Like if I'm going to play PS4, I'm going to play it on a giant television. So they need to distinguish those two systems still, and they will, because there'll still be 3DS 2 or whatever you want to call this games that will come out that will be amazing as usual, because 3DS, as you know, is a really good system with really good games. But to get that home console going, it has to be as powerful as PS4. It has to be, and it has to run on new software that works with the 3DS 2 or whatever they're going to call it. And on top of it, the whole online structure needs to be. I just want them to copy Xbox Live. Whoops, shouldn't have said that. But I just want them to copy it and have like. Imagine you could have Nintendo avatars that were like kind of look like Nintendo characters. It would be amazing. But I don't know why they don't do that. I'm just baffled on. They're just sitting on all this money. and they have all these franchises they can draw upon. And think about it, you buy your avatar or you create your avatar, it kind of looks like you, and then just like on the X1, you can buy like avatar clothing, but it's all like Mario and all. It would sell so much. They're just so stupid. Just so
I
dumb.
think they're just afraid to really try anything new, and they're just sticking to the same old.
Well, I think they realize now that that's over with. If they don't learn from this mistake, they're done. Like, there's nothing left to do here except adapt to the future. They haven't done that since the Super Nintendo was like the beginning of the end, to be honest. That was when they were
Yeah.
like, third party, screw them, we just make our own games. And they'll come to us because our system is number one. But hey, that's not the case anymore. Now they have to work with them to get them to work on the system. And they can sit around with all their third party haggling that they do for like Bayonetta 2, but I'm being honest here, I don't really care about Bayonetta 2 or it looks interesting, but again, it's not going to sell a system.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that Nintendo refuses to touch upon any like application, iOS or anything like that type of games. That they're sticking really away from that, and it's a big market these days. I mean, you saw Flappy Bird just explode real quick there.
Oh, brother.
It's silly little games like that can do well. Imagine what a Nintendo iOS game could do.
Well, yeah, a Nintendo game on like a well, we may as well segue into a Nintendo game on an X1 or a PS4 would be if they just put Mario on another platform, it would sell they would be huge. They would be the biggest
Yeah.
software company ever known. It would
They
be
should
so
really
big.
honestly just be a studio. I feel like at this point they're really just not. I don't think they're up to par for what this generation wants in consoles anymore.
No, I'm gonna have to agree with that now. I think that this fusion idea has potential, but they have to nail everything down. Like the online needs to be amazing with avatars, the matchmaking needs to be spotless, the interface between the two systems and the actual like interface on the system itself needs to run smoothly and be flawless and have no issues with like loading times and whatnot. Like for
Yeah.
instance, I just downloaded Rayman Legends on my PS4. There literally is no loading time in that game. You start it up, there's an initial load up of like maybe a minute. You go into the menu, and every time you go to a new level, it literally is like, okay, and you're in. And I'm just like, this is amazing. Why aren't more games like this? So I think in the next couple of years we'll see like just quicker software, the ability to launch things just really, really quickly. And I know they're going to add that to the Wii U. On like the Wii U pad, you can turn it on. Sort of. I have one right here actually. With the Wii U, you can push this little TV button and it brings up that. It doesn't turn on the system, but they're going to add a menu bar here that will let you launch into games just from that screen. And
That's
why
cool.
wasn't why wasn't that there in the beginning? Because right now, if I want to play like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, it'll be like 6 minutes before I get into the game. It's ridiculous.
That is a bit much.
I
Did you hear
just
about the Xbox One? I know you can't say the name, but the Xbox One is actually coming out with a new remote. I saw that the other day.
Yeah, it's like this little thing. I don't,
I
whatever.
think it's supposed to work with your normal TV too, and then
Uh,
just kind of. I think it's supposed to be like instead of using a remote for your TV, you can just use that, and it works with the Xbox and your TV.
oh,
I
okay. Well,
think.
I use this. It's fine. I don't.
I don't
I
even use my controller most of the time. I just do the voice commands. It's so nice.
Yeah, when it works.
It works quite well for me usually. Usually, sometimes it trolls the shit out of me, but usually it works pretty well.
So yeah, I guess in closing for the whole Nintendo subject, I just want that fusion to, again, the operating system to be amazing, as good as like iOS. Imagine they
Yeah,
could do that. And I also think if they introduced Nintendo games on that thing, but cheap versions like 99 cents or like the same thing you can get on the iStore or whatever the iTunes, that would be interesting to me at least. If you could be like, oh, I'm going to buy this indie game just as much as it is on PC, but it's going to run on my Wii U through this application, and to be able to also bring it on the go with that new handheld that comes with the
that would be
system.
cool.
I think that there's like so many possibilities, and they've run out of time to mess up. So they better be sitting there right now designing it the proper way, because if they come out with another just like Wii U 2 and it's this bad, it's going to be a
If they
disaster.
come out with a Wii U 2, I will be shocked and appalled that they're that dumb.
Well, it's going to be difficult to get these third-party people interested in a new system unless it literally is as powerful as a PS4, if not more powerful, and that other handheld that comes with it does things that we haven't seen before. And
Yeah.
because right now everyone and their mother wants to work on a PS4 game and kind of on an X1 game. That's a different story altogether, but every indie dev wants to be on PS4, all of that stuff, even major titles on PS4 coming out. Or I know because I talked to some of the people making games, and they're saying things like Assassin's Creed 4, or even, well, I can't talk about the other game I was going to mention, but Assassin's Creed 4, we haven't seen nothing yet. Even though it's like a PS4 version of the game, I was talking to the mission director of Assassin's Creed 4, and he was like, dude, this isn't even next gen. Like, it is a next gen game, but he says just wait until you see what the next Assassin's Creed will look like. And I've seen things like Watch Dogs, and it is ridiculous.
Well, closing on that topic, because it's been about like 20 something minutes, we've gone on a little bit of a rampage with that one. I think we can agree that we agree on the situation at hand, that it's Nintendo's not in a great spot, but they do have enough resources to pull themselves out of the hole they've dug if they're smart enough to take the feedback and use it appropriately. But the next thing that I really want to talk about, we're going to keep it with the Microsoft theme, is that Epic Games sold Gears of War, the entire Gears of War franchise, along with, I believe, the rights to use the Unreal Engine 4. They sold it to Microsoft, which is a bit surprising to me. I was looking into the whole story and kind of why they did what they did, and I honestly, I think part of it was just they realized a lot of people from Epic Games did leave. Like Cliffy B, for one, he left a long time ago. They didn't like what they were doing with the franchise, and I didn't like it either. With Judgment, they ruined a lot of what I loved about the series. It's like they're taking this franchise you love and beating it with like until it's just dead and dry and just a husk of what you used to care about. I hate how studios and companies do that these days, where they find a franchise does well, they're like, oh, it ended because it was a trilogy and it was supposed to be done. Let's keep going. Like, I hate that. I was looking into it, and it said that Ron Ferguson, the former director of production at Epic Games, is joining the new studio Black Tusk, which I've never heard of. I have no idea who they are, but they're apparently going to be working on a new game they said they're going to announce later this year. So that's interesting and scary, and I'm not happy. And I mean, I'm excited to see what they do, but maybe they'll surprise us. But I doubt it. The only thing I could think that they would do, because the Judgment was meant to be like in the future, or not in the future, but back in the past of like what happened to a lot of the core COG members. Now they're gonna, I imagine, would go far in the future. I mean, what else would they do? They finished the trilogy. Not only that, but they've gone back in the past. Are they going to go further back in the past? Like, I don't understand what's really left for them to do with the Gears of War series. Have you played Gears?
Yeah, I used to be a huge Gears fan. I actually didn't play the last release because I was busy at the time, but I think that's if you look at the past of Microsoft, they've never had other than, well, let's just talk about what they own. They own Halo and they now own Halo and they now own Gears, and those were the two major franchises for them. I think that's the one funny thing about all of this is they don't have their own franchises that they can call their own. So again, they're just buying something, just like they originally just bought Halo and used it as a console seller. And without Halo, there would be no Microsoft X1 right now. There would be nothing. And for them to buy that, I think it's actually a really smart move, because I'm pretty sure Epic was just totally done with that franchise.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to do with it, especially on the Unreal 4 engine. I think that we haven't seen really what it can do just yet on home consoles. But I don't think we're gonna like see like Gears 4 anytime soon.
We
I bet
shouldn't. I mean, the
no.
trilogy, like I said, it's done. You did everything you had to do. It finished. If they make it Gears 4, I'm gonna be severely upset. Like it is over. If they want to go and do like a spin-off of it, Gears of War, something else, like I can understand it. They do Gears of War 4 and they're like trying to continue the story from where it left off. Oh, that is like the worst thing they could do to me. Like I'm not gonna be happy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they. I don't think they'll do that. I think it'll be a whole new trilogy. I think they'll have to go in a different direction. I think it'd be. I agree with you on that. It'd be silly to take something and be like, oh, there's secretly a part 4, 5, and 6, just like Star Wars right now. There's 7, 8, and 9, which you know it's the same thing. We have two trilogies, the first or the second trilogy, but the first technical one. We didn't even need that. We just had three films and they were fine. So I think we've learned from that mistake, but
Yeah.
that's still there's still a lot of money to be made. Just like with hiring back all of the original cast of Star Wars to star in another three films is a brilliant idea because there's $1 billion just sitting in our pockets to go into their pockets. It's that simple. So it literally could be them walking around a room with lightsabers and we would still go spend $15 to go see it.
On the
So
subject of that, you should show your little cup.
my R2,
R2D2.
he's full of M&Ms. So I he's like an alarm system. You can tell when somebody's trying to break into your candy.
Oh man, you were showing me that before, and it's cute. Even though I think everyone already knows. Never seen it. Never seen Star Wars. Never seen Star Trek. Not a sci-fi person. And I know you're disappointed with me. You already told me earlier, but
I'm surprised.
why?
I don't know, like why you don't like it. Is it because it's
It's sci-fi, and I've never been. Aside from Mass Effect, I've never been a fan of sci-fi.
but Mass Effect is based on Star Trek.
I mean, even so, Mass Effect was just fabulous. Everything they did with it. I mean, if you can't hate that, it's just
Have you seen
impossible.
the new Star Trek films like Into Darkness or anything?
I haven't seen any of them. Any Star Wars, any Star Trek.
You should just watch.
You froze.
Did I?
Damn it. Yes.
Really? I could see myself moving
You're
here.
just like,
I'm
oh, there you
still
go. There you go. You're moving.
I don't
You're
know what
just
happened
like
there.
this for a bit. I'm gonna leave it in too.
So what's the next topic that we have to cover here? So what? Yeah,
Oh,
well, we're Gears. You're not happy. I'm kind of happy. Is what's happening here.
I mean, I want to see what they do with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm interested in seeing the direction they go. Will I buy it? Probably not. I mean, I bought Judgment. I played it for like maybe a week or two. I never even beat it. It just was like a sad time whenever I played it because I was like, I used to love this series. What are you doing to it? And they made Judgment after a lot of Epic already left. A lot of main core people who started making the Gears of War franchise, they left. So Judgment was a mix of some new people, I think, and they kind of made it
Mhm.
wasn't the same. It was like the multiplayer was better in some senses than some of the other Gears of War games. Not better than one. Nothing's better than one. But the story, I was just like, I wasn't feeling it. But yeah, I didn't finish it either, so. The next topic that we have is Irrational Games. Everybody knows that they are shutting down. They're not shutting down quite yet. They're going to bring out the last remaining DLC for BioShock Infinite. They've been around for 17 years. I mean, some people are saying that it's, it happens. A company's been around that long, some people move on. But it's really sad to see them go right after they release the best game they've ever created. I mean, that's obviously an opinion, but a lot of people do agree that was the best BioShock and the best game they've ever done. So it was kind of sad to see them go immediately after the release of that.
You know about BioShock, I think that he nailed the story on that one, and they could have thrown it into kind of any universe, and it would have worked. But I think if it didn't have the BioShock name, it wouldn't have. Lots of people wouldn't have known about it. But in saying that, it's. I think it's better to go out on a high note than for them to be like forced into making another BioShock after this one, which I'm pretty positive that's probably what's going on over there. But BioShock is not going to die, that's for sure. There's still going to be another one for sure, but
How do you
it's
know
just
that?
um well they released a statement said that BioShock story wise is far from over. So
Okay.
there's that just means they have to make another game. So
I was curious, like, how they would continue after Bioshock Infinite. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, so I'm not going to get into details, but I was just
well
curious how that would go further.
well
Would they just
I
show
could just
more?
say there's many doors, right? So
Yeah.
we can go into any of those doors now, and it could be anything. So
So
realistically,
technically, it could never end.
basically that's what they're going to do. They want to make a lot of money off of it. So I think that we'll see at least one more BioShock on next gen systems, and it'll probably look amazing. But as for story and everything else, that's going to be difficult to accomplish
So
because
who's
that's the
gonna
same
create
team.
it then? Is what's his name? Ken?
No, no, he's. I think he's doing something else. I forget what he's doing, but K2 Games, I think, who owns it.
Yeah.
They own the rights, so they'll somebody will be making it. I don't know who. Some team. The thing about video game design is that at the beginning of a game's design, usually half the team or even like 33% of the team is gone and replaced by the
Yeah.
end of the 3 years. Like in video game design, it's very hard to see unless you're one of the top line guys. There's people switching out all the time, and I think that this is just I think this is bigger news because the last game did so well, and Ken Levine, or I think his full name's Ken Levine.
Yeah.
He really paid attention to what he wanted to come out in the end, and even like Cliffy B was saying about Gears that even Gears 1 and 2, he was saying that he didn't get his way. Like even though it was kind of his vision and all that stuff and the team and everything, that even with their vision, it didn't come out the way he thought it would come out. So
Interesting.
who knows what's gonna happen? Well,
I just remember that when Gears of War 2 was coming out, Cliffy B was like blowing it up. It's bigger, it's better, it's more badass. It's like he was going on and on and on about how great it is.
yeah, and it was good, but I think he envisioned more of a. I don't think he envisioned these big brooding guys like football players and stuff. I think he wanted more of a BioShock Infinite type of story, like Mass Effect. He was really actually
Yeah.
going for that, but I guess what happens is just these big companies see an opportunity and they're like, no, 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 we go in this route and we'll make more money, and then that's just how it happens. So it's amazing to see BioShock Infinite come out in a marketplace like this and do decent and being one of the top games. Same as The Last of Us. The Last of Us is such a ballsy game to put out, knowing that it doesn't hit all of the different markets,
Yeah.
and they just designed it and put it out and hoped it's sold. But it's believe it or not, designing a game and everything is one thing, but actually marketing a video game is actually harder than maybe even making it. Like right now, Titanfall is having a ridiculous amount of time trying to come up with a strategy of selling it. Like they don't know how to sell it.
I think honestly, especially video game companies need to start marketing in YouTube a lot more. A lot of companies don't recognize YouTubers. They need to start using YouTubers more because they already have a community of gamers who've come together. And I mean, you shouldn't just pay YouTubers to say, "Hey, I like your game." It should be honest people who care about your game, and they should honestly push the game for you. And big YouTubers like PewDiePie have huge, huge, huge influences on people. So I feel like that they need to start investing more in YouTubers as opposed to fighting them, because a lot of companies don't like YouTube. You know, they don't like gamers putting up their entire gameplays of their stuff. Like Rockstar hated that. There was a huge like you can't even put up any cutscenes of our game for a long time. Rockstar was being really strict on that one.
Which is understandable to a certain degree. I mean, I don't think you should be able. It's like if you pirated a brand new film in the theater, you shouldn't be able to upload it and everyone gets to see it. It's almost like it's the same for me for video games. Like because I'm in the journalism side of things,
Yeah.
it's frustrating at times because I want to show certain aspects of a video game to be like, "Hey, this was really well done. Here's what it looks like. Here's why you should go out and buy this." And there's times when I get shut down for trying to say something positive about a game, but
Really?
um, it's overall. I'm if we have to choose sides on that, I still have to go with the developers because just because you create your own gameplay footage doesn't mean you own the game. It wasn't made by you. If you made the game, then that would be a different story. But you bought the license to play it and experience it. Doesn't mean that
Yeah,
you get the license to make money and share it with everybody. So again, I don't know. I'm on sort of that side, more of that side. But
interesting.
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if a person's gonna click and watch the gameplay, then they've kind of already made that decision. I mean, most people who watch my videos sometimes will leave like comments saying, "Because of you, I bought this game." You
No,
know,
I
it's
I get that. I get that. If I give a review of something and I say like, no, it's only this audience is going to like this game, I get tons of messages saying like, hey, I bought the game. It's amazing. Thanks
yeah,
to you.
it's free
So,
advertisement, so it can go both ways. But
yeah, but
I'm in favor of the YouTubers here, so we differ on this one.
oh, it's an argument. The
I'm
thing
in
is
favor
like,
of them.
there's no such thing as free advertising. It's not free. Like it's
Yeah,
you're taking the license of somebody else and making money off of it. If there's money involved, there's the word free advertising doesn't apply to that. I understand what you're saying, but it's a major problem, and I don't think people like PewDiePie. I'll give you an example here. You don't even want to know how much money he makes off of one of those videos. It's ridiculous the amount of money
he
he
is the
makes.
biggest. I think is he the biggest YouTuber
No, he is.
total
He
now?
is. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he's number one. But I I personally know huge YouTubers who get like millions of views a day across their channel, and they some of those people make so much money it's disgusting, and that money is coming from not things they've created, but things that they're showing and playing. And it, again, I understand it. I'm just not on that side of the argument. I just don't. I think that if you're in with the company and they're like, hey, of course you can do that, that's fine. But to fight companies who say, please don't do it with our stuff, to me doesn't make sense. I mean, I think
I
it should be.
can I can understand there being what Rockstar did was I guess I can make some sense of it. There's a certain time period where they're like, don't do it when it right comes out. Like if it's just out, let people play
Yeah,
it.
I
But
agree with that too.
yeah, but maybe not a full restriction on you can't show it. Cause I mean, I don't know. In the world we live in, people want to see what they're gonna get. IGN and big companies like that, those are paid reviews a lot of the time. It's like they're paid to say the game is good. Sometimes you just want to see somebody like you playing the game and what they feel about it.
No, I totally get that.
So I feel like, yeah, both sides have a valid point, but Rockstar was really being the first one I noticed to really kind of push home that they don't want you,
Well,
showing their game.
them and Nintendo,
Oh yeah, Nintendo's a real dickbag about that.
which to me is understandable because a Nintendo game is depends which franchise it is, but if I worked 3 or 4 years on a game and I put it online and I found out that somebody had like copied the game and then you could download it for free, I'd be pissed. But to show it and have somebody play it, it still would bother me if they played the whole thing and showed the whole thing. I understand that, but
Yeah.
it's not a movie, it's still a video game, so I still am kind of like both sides. I don't know, like
Well, especially with games like The Wolf Among Us, there's so many different ways you can play it. So even if I play it one way, somebody else can play it a different way. Sometimes it's just fun to see the different ways you can play a game. If you don't want to spend all the time playing it again, it's just fun to watch.
see, I guess the only argument that the players would have is that it's a game and you have to play it. So you can
Yeah.
watch it and experience is one thing, but to actually play it is a different experience. So I I think that for the most part, because I have sort of a behind the scenes look at all how these ad revenue things happen, I don't think Nintendo goes out of their way to flag those videos. I think that basically what happens on YouTube is that if I make music, for instance, and like somebody named Sly Fox Hound, who's a huge YouTuber, he uses my music in his videos,
Yeah.
and I could be a complete dickhead and be like, no, I own the rights to all of his videos. Like overnight, I could do that, and basically that's not my fault or his fault or anyone's fault except YouTube's because of their copyright claim system. So basically what happens is I make music, I actually claim it as myself when I upload it, YouTube looks at that and goes, okay, he's officially the owner of it. So if it shows up in any other video, audio-wise, he owns the right and has the ability to be like, no, I own this, and I could take that ad revenue away. So I think that Nintendo just puts their games into the system, and I don't think they actually have anyone sitting there going, oh, this guy's using it, click, this guy, this click. No one at Nintendo's actually like, oh, let's go out of our way to stop them from using it. I've never seen that happen. I know for a fact it does not happen. I just know that they own what they own, and that's how YouTube works. If you own something and you put it in the system as owning it, then it'll automatically look for things that are copying you, and it'll be like, no, no, you don't own this, they own this. So again, to harp on Nintendo is one thing, but I don't think a lot of people understand exactly how it works. I can guarantee, trust me, there's nobody at Nintendo is sitting there pushing buttons going like, "Oh, Sly Fox, you played this, we own it. Angry Joe, you can't do that." Like it just doesn't happen. So,
Yeah.
I think it's just YouTube's mess.
Yeah, the automated system is a complete disaster in a lot of ways. I feel like they should maybe not, because I mean, if you get a strike, it's like it takes 6 months for it to go away. So it's, and then you get three, you lose your channel. It's a
Yeah,
pretty big deal for it to be automatic like that. It's risky for YouTubers.
it's stupid. It's just so stupid. It's like, it's just to me is, I'm baffled on how there's so many things in this whole industry that are just so dumb to me. Like
Yeah.
Nintendo's one of them. Why are they so stupid? Then YouTube. Why is Nintendo so dumb? Like it just doesn't make sense. They're the biggest company online. Like Google is gigantic, but they can't figure this out, and they can't get like new laws put in place to protect us and the like it just is so stupid. And it makes you think, if they're not doing it, why are they not doing it? Are they that stupid, or is there something else going on here? And you have to ask yourself that. Personally, I would say something else is going on, but that's just me.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. YouTube's been a bit of a wreck lately. Not to mention the constant changes of interface that no one ever likes, and then the need to have a Google Plus account just to comment and stuff. It's changing. So I'm interested in seeing what happens with YouTube and as a whole, because
Yeah.
it's really hard for little fish like me to start now. I think it was a lot easier back in the day for YouTubers like Sly Fox and stuff for them to get started. Now it's like it's pulling teeth just to get a little
I
recognition.
I actually started before him, which is funny.
Yeah, but you even said before that you do a different kind of content where it's like a lot of people get
Yeah,
mad and disagree.
yeah, YouTube is like the probably the most frustrating thing you can get into. It's ridiculous. I don't even
Yeah.
want to get into that, but it's ridiculous.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about was Twitch Plays Pokemon. It's kind of a huge hit right now. It's a very interesting experiment of sorts of like what happens when a bunch of people control one single character. Can you beat the game?
It's ridiculous to think that, well, I guess they're going to beat the game eventually, but
Yeah.
I know for a fact, because I have to deal with people online, that there's always going to be some dickhead there pushing the wrong button.
The
So,
interesting thing is there's actually people forming strategies because there are people bringing up the menu and trying to derail the whole project. People are just hitting B to stop that. So there's people like there's anti-troll patrol where they're just sitting there hitting B all the time. So there's
it's
people
just
actually coming up with full strategies of like photos like we need to get from here to here and here and like trying to figure it out so that everyone can work together. It's actually really interesting seeing the internet come together for something like this.
yeah, I agree. It's an interesting experiment. I just don't. I personally would not sit there and be like, I'm going to do this. I think it would be, to me, would just be a waste
I
of time.
can't do it for more than 5 minutes. I've done it a few times. I get in there for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, this is chaotic. I'm done.
I know. I think that there's a lot of kids watching YouTube and online stuff, and they just want to feel part of something,
Yeah.
and it's interesting for that. But I personally couldn't handle it. I would choke somebody. I'd be like, don't touch my controller.
There's even people started doing recently there was a Twitch Plays Adam Sessler. Did you
Yeah,
see that? That was interesting.
yeah, that was funny. He's
How do
funny.
you feel about the Titanfall open beta, kind of open beta for the Xbox and not so open beta for the PC from last I heard?
Um, I really enjoyed the the beta. I put up a video on our channel and talking about it. I
Yeah.
think the Titans are amazing. It's amazing getting into them for the first time, to ride them around, to experience the parkour of that game is amazing. And then some of the negative things just for me were that I'm just not 100% sold on the whole 6-on-6 plus a million mosquito bots, which I'm calling them mosquito bots. To me, they were personally annoying as hell. But on the opposite side of that, I could see it sort of gets you into the game. It kind of warms you up because they're necessarily very they're like mosquitoes. You shoot them in the face and then they're dead, and then you move on and you try to find the human players. That's the game. So
I tried it on the Xbox One, and I'm just not into shooters much anymore, and I really hate mechs. It's a pet peeve of mine, so I went into that game already kind of salty. I gave it a shot, though. The thing that surprised me was the parkour. I didn't know that it had parkour elements in it, and I thought that was pretty cool. But overall, it just felt kind of like a generic shooter with a little bit of parkour and mechs thrown in. To me, that's how all shooters are these days. They're all kind of just, they feel very generic.
um yeah, I mean I guess you could say it's generic, but I've never I've never jumped into a Titan and have it like grab you midair and throw you into the suit.
Yeah, there's
That,
certainly elements that are cool about it. Like I said, the parkour was pretty cool. I like that mixed in with the shooter. Makes it more, you can be more agile and run around and stuff. I like that. But I don't know. I've fallen out of the shooter
well,
genre
you don't like
personally.
sci-fi.
I used to like shooters though. I never liked sci-fi other than Mass Effect. So there's a difference there. I
So
don't know.
you wish Titanfall was not Titans, like huge
I
mechs.
wish
They
there
were like
was no mechs. I wish
you
it
wish
was.
they were like
Yeah.
horses, like unicorns, because you like fantasy stuff.
Unicorns. No, I like medieval stuff. That's my thing. But I don't want like a medieval type game. They have games like that already. You can't add guns to a medieval type game. That's stupid.
Bow and arrows.
The only shooter that I honestly think I'd be excited to see is a new Unreal Tournament. Unreal Tournament 4. I would be
Well,
very excited.
that's
to see.
coming.
I
Don't
want
you
it.
worry.
I
I'm
want it.
I'm pretty sure Cliffy B is working on that.
Cliffy B. He doesn't like being called Cliffy B, so I like calling him Cliffy B even more. Hope he sees that.
I saw his when I went to PAX East last year, he was there and I'm pretty sure I saw his Lamborghini outside of a hotel there, which was
He has a
interesting.
Lamborghini?
Yeah, he's got an orange Lamborghini. He's rich.
I want to slap him in the face.
You're definitely rich when you design video games that do really well.
Yeah, especially ones that you don't even like that much. Well done,
Yeah.
Cliffy B.
Only he could do that.
I mean, I got respect for the dude in some areas, though. Of all the, dudes that work on games, he's not as bad, but having a Lamborghini automatically makes you a douchebag. It's just like...
I'm trying to think if I would own a Lamborghini. I don't think I would. I'd own like a Dodge Charger for some reason because I think they're muscle cars, but
I don't
yeah.
even know what car would be my dream car. I used to always say Viper, but I don't think I'd really want that.
Those spin out
just-
easily. They're very
just-
dangerous. Be careful.
I just want like a slick car, like a nice, like more of a luxury meets a sports
You want like
car.
a Toyota? Oh no, you want a Lexus. That's what you want.
Yeah, some like in between luxury and sports. Something I could put some nice rims on, some hydraulics, that kind of thing. I'm just kidding. But I would want like lights underneath. You know how it like glows at night underneath
Yeah,
the car?
just like your headphones there.
Yeah, except they wouldn't be blue. It'd be like a purple light, 'cause purple. Yeah. But the thing I want to talk about next, which I know you said you did not play The Wolf Among Us. I, however, did play The Wolf Among Us at episode 2, which just came out, and I just wanted to say, holy shit. I did a whole playthrough of that on my channel, so if you haven't seen it already, you can. It was really short, surprisingly. The first one was about 3 hours long. The second one was about an hour and a half. Now, to wait as many months as we did for an hour and a half, that kind of saddened me a little bit. I felt a little bit let down by how short it was. It was really good though. There was like no complaints for me. The story was great. There was a couple glitches for other people. I didn't experience any glitches, but there was like a floating head glitch for some people, and some really odd, weird freaking glitches going on. So there was obviously problems, but it was mostly with the Xbox. If you had it for the Xbox 360, there was some glitches there, from what I heard. There was even a glitch where you couldn't get it. You had to, like, rebuy it, even if you had the season pass, which was a bit ridiculous. So, I don't know. I have it for the PC. I didn't experience any issues, but, the story is getting to the point where I need it now. It's like, that's the bad thing about episodics. It's like, you play this short little teaser of a game, and you gotta wait, and it's just driving me insane. I need to know what happens, but yeah, that's an incredible game, and I cannot wait to see what happens further. I'm kind of curious after episode 5 if they're gonna, like, keep it going, or if they're just gonna let it die there, because, you know, with The Walking Dead, they have seasons. I don't know if they're gonna be doing seasons for this, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much all of our topics. This has been quite a long... Yeah, it's been about an hour, so that's pretty good.
I talk too much.
Is there anything else you'd like to touch upon? Anything gaming related currently? Like Thief? I don't know. Maybe.
Well, I'm playing that for review right now, so I can't technically say if it's good or bad.
If you had to, if this was like the level of just like standard, where would it go more towards the good?
Well, it depends when you're releasing this video.
Probably after, actually. So it will be after the 25th. I cannot edit this in 2 days. That's
all right. So graphically, if you played Assassin's Creed 4 on PlayStation 4, then you've probably played something on the lines of this. It looks a little bit better in terms of. I'd say the textures are on par with Assassin's Creed, but the lighting effects and the atmosphere are definitely much better in this game. There's a lot of thunderstorms happening during the gameplay, and it's constantly raining, so everything's wet and it has that sort of like shine to it. So it definitely stands out in terms of graphics. It's probably the best. Well, I don't. It's hard to say is the best looking PS4 game. I don't know. Killzone was pretty good looking. I don't know if it's that good, but it's definitely above Assassin's Creed 4.
Okay, so what do you think about the story? How far are you in the story currently, and what do you think of it so far?
I don't want to give too much away, but the story is like they decided to add this paranormal aspect to the game.
Ooh.
And yeah, and it kind of like. It's kind of like hit or miss with the story. Again, I usually don't like to talk too much about it, but let's just say the beginning of it is really, really cheesy.
Well, does it make up for it a little bit later? Does it kind of like get less cheesy?
It takes, I'd say the game overall takes at least 3 to 5 hours before I was personally like having a little bit of fun. It was difficult to really play at the beginning, to be honest. I was like, this is just something was really way off, and to me personally, it's like different departments worked on different things in the game, and you can clearly see that they were kind of not on the same page in terms of everything. I don't even think they probably didn't even talk to each other. They're just like, here's our part of the game, throw it in there. Here's that. Like, it doesn't feel like it's one game. There's like the art design and the level design. Like the city that you're in is amazing, but then you look at how it's actually laid out and the loading times involved, and like there's these areas in the map where you can freely walk. You don't actually have to hide or do any stealth in, and it's confusing because you don't realize that you don't need to hide from these people. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's the guards, now I have to hide. So it's the balancing is like way off in the first 2 hours, and it was, to be honest, it was. For me, I played a lot of games. It was kind of difficult to play because the learning curve is really high. Takes a while before you get used to using the PS4 controller with this game. It was very weird.
Do you think it's more of a PC should play type of game, or?
I think definitely. I think on PC it probably would be easier to play. Like L, like the left trigger, is your sort of running melee, not melee, running parkour sort of trick where you hold that thing and then you'll kind of go up walls and you'll run around basically. And it's confusing because you can run up to a ledge and then sort of look over it, and there's like a few different ways you can go about it, and it doesn't, the thing is the game holds your hand the whole way through, but it doesn't hold your hand in terms of like telling you, okay, don't jump off this ledge because somebody will hear you, or maybe just push the X button and sort of fall off the ledge and gently land. Like, it doesn't tell you the two differences, but it will tell you when there's a guard there. Like, it holds your hand, but it doesn't tell you how to play. It's sort of, it's just paint by the numbers, to be honest. I overall, I'm not really impressed too much by it. It is definitely a fun game, but
I personally, this is a hype train for me. I'm super, super excited to play it. So I'm a little disappointed here, but everybody has their own opinions. So I'm taking what you say kind of with
well,
a grain of salt till I play it.
if you play Dishonored,
Yep.
then Dishonored is a better version of this,
Oh,
basically.
that makes me sad. Dishonored was a fantastic game, but I felt like they really could have done more with it. I felt like there
Well,
was a little bit missing to that one. So if that one's better than this, that's not good.
yeah, Dishonored definitely is better than this. I definitely would rather play Dishonored. I'm sorry. I hate when
Oh
games come out
no.
and they have this certain level of hype and people get excited because I kind of knew that this game was headed down a direction that didn't seem too focused. It's when, put it this way, when we have games like The Last of Us and BioShock and the I think for me personally the story is the most important part of a
Yep.
game.
Hmm.
And then on top of how do you tell a really good story, not necessarily the visuals, but it is the actual voice of the character and maybe the character design and if you can relate to them and whatnot. But Garrett is so unrelatable, and his voice acting unfortunately is laughable at moments. It's literally laughable. It's like paint, it's almost like they called it in paint by the numbers, like, oh, here's your lines. Oh, okay. Oh, don't go down there. I'm a evil guy, blah blah blah. It's like they're reading it off the page, and it's just, to me, I don't understand how that happens, but it's happened and it's in the game. So unfortunately, I can't say like this acting is nowhere near as good as it should be. So
Wow.
it's just
That.
really, it's just really poorly written. It's just really silly at times, and there's glitches like with the guards where you start the game off in stealth mode. You have arrows, which is always been in the series, but now they have like fancy arrows that will turn lights off or light switches or kill enemies or light fires or shoot water or whatever you want to do with these arrows. You can do that, but the game doesn't tell you what those do, but it'll tell you where to go. And when you get there, the game is sort of struggling. It's like, well, there's different play styles, but honestly, none of them are really that fun unless you play the game on extreme hard. On easy mode, you can basically almost get away with running into a room, clobbering a guy, and then the combat is just horrible. But that's a whole different story.
Oh man. Well. Uh.
I'm calling it now that I bet you lots. It'll probably get a lot of 7 out of 10s. Maybe somebody will be crazy enough to give it like an 8. Maybe I could see that, and
Crazy or paid enough to give it an 8.
somebody will might give it an 8 out of 10 somewhere. But uh, so far, I can't say how far I'm into the game, but I'm pretty sure it's probably way over half. Again, I didn't look at that part, but so far into it, I couldn't score it at this moment. Like, I if I had
Fair
to, I
enough.
would say it's like it's leaning on like a 6.5 right now. It's like
Well,
it's
that's
not.
still better than half. So I mean, it's got to be doing something right. Is the graphics and the art saving it at this point?
No, I mean the city is very dark. That's another thing about the game. It's extremely dark. So you don't get the sense that you're looking at a different building. Yes, it's designed differently and there's different settings, and some of the settings are really cool. It kind of reminds me of being in um why can't I think of the goddamn name right now? The Johnny Depp movie From Hell. Like it has that Sleepy Hollow from Hell sort of feeling.
Yeah.
So it definitely has nailed the feeling of the city down, but trust me, you'll get extremely frustrated with the city design. Uh, Again, not to get into detail, but you go down like a corridor, you go through all these houses, you break through a window, you come down, now you're in an alleyway, and you're like, okay, cool. And it's telling you to get to this lighthouse, which is essentially your home base. And when you get there, you go in and it loads up this little room, which is your home base, but it doesn't really tell you what it is. You just assume, okay, this is, I guess, is my home room. You can store items in that home room and then open them in other places in the city and whatnot, but it's a confusing mess at the beginning, and it let me just say it does get better after about 3 hours when you start to customize your character a little bit more,
Yeah.
um, by like upgrading different abilities. That definitely helps the gameplay. And like I said, if you're going to play this game, you should play it on the hardest difficulty, because on easy mode, it's a joke. It literally is. You could just run into a room, even though it's a stealth game, and just knock people in the heads and beat the whole game probably doing this.
Well, I am probably gonna come back with my own personal take on that on next month's podcast. So I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I've been looking forward to it. It's one of the first games that's coming out for the Xbox One that I'm actually excited for, because the launch games were pretty lackluster. They were all right, with Rise and Dead Rising being some pretty decent games, but they weren't ones that I probably would have gotten later. If they came out like later down the line, I probably would
Yeah.
have skipped over them. I only bought them because I wanted something to play on my new console. So with that said, this is the first one that I'm buying just because I want it, and got the feel and the kind of genre and stuff that I really like. I'm not really a huge stealthy type player. I'm more of like I like hack and slash in my kind of games
Well,
like that.
it's when you have to beat up a guard in this, it's not fun. Let's just say that. There's a very silly mechanic where because Garrett is doesn't want to kill people, essentially. He wants to be a thief, but he doesn't want to injure people. He's sort of
Yeah,
against that. He'll do it if he has to, but when you go up to a guard in this, you take them out by holding the right button. No, sorry. Actually, I think it could be the trigger, but I'm pretty sure it's the right shoulder button that is your weapon, and it's sort of there to kind of get out of a situation. And the balancing of that is really really bad, and it turns into sort of third person Skyrim uh, awkwardness where they're blocking and you're hitting, and I'm sure that can be upgraded. I haven't got to that part, but you're hitting them, and then at one point to take them out, you hold the button down, and then a little counter goes, and then it goes, and then you hit him, and he's out cold, and then that's it. So you just walk, like I said, in easy mode, run into a room, hit him 3 times, hold the button, he's done. Next guy, do the same thing, and you just cleared that whole little stage, and it's like, oh, you can play very ridiculously in this. Like you just run into rooms and conk people out,
that is
and
pretty
then
disappointing, I guess.
the
But
other thing is the looting. You get money by looting things, so there's a lot of lock picking. The lock picking is actually decent. You turn the left analog stick until it actually highlights the sort of like it vibrates, and you have to hit the exact same moment trigger, and then he'll lock pick it, and then there's like usually 3 or 4 or 5 of those little things that you have to do. You
yeah,
unlock it. The thing about the looting is there's an ability after. I don't want to give away the story, but there's after the first like chapter, there's a special ability that you hit triangle. It sort of gives him a vision of what to steal. So everything that you can steal or interact with turns blue, and it just becomes sort of a nuisance to collect these things. It's not as fun as you'd think to actually steal these things. At least I haven't experienced anything fun in it yet. Then again, this is all based on me playing like about 50% of the game. I still have to play another like 10 hours, which I will be doing right after this. But so far, that's my take on it. If it gets better, hopefully, then you'll see my review on that.
all right, well, I'll look forward to that. And yeah, I'll leave your channel link down in the description below if people want to check you out and all the cool stuff you do. You do a lot of similar review type stuff and shows of your own, so I'm sure people would want to check that out. And yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on here, and maybe we can have you again in the future.
Cool. Thank you. Say hi to your kitten in the background there.
He has been sleeping there the entire time. I don't even know if he's going to be in the frame because of how bad I have to zoom in for this.
Oh.
But if he's not, there's a cat directly behind me, like right there, sleeping on a bed. It's adorable. The entire time. He's been very good. I'm surprised. Usually I have to kick him out of the room because he loves just being annoying, a little pestering little shit the whole time. Every time I'm recording anything, he like wants to be petted, wants attention, cannot stand if I'm not petting him. But he's just been sleeping. I'm amazed.
Probably because he saw your guest today and he's like, oh, freaking God. Yeah.
What kind of hat are you wearing? Is that a Nintendo thing going on?
Yeah.
All the talk of Nintendo, and you're wearing a Nintendo hat. Just saw it just now.
Dude, look.
You're so Nintendo'd out, dude.
I realized that. Well, no, I got my Watch Dogs hoodie.
Still, you got a Nintendo hat and shirt?
It's a Watch Dogs hoodie, and I'm wearing Pac-Man underwear, to be honest.
Isn't Pac-Man Nintendo? What are they?
No, he's Konami.
Oh, okay. I always thought it was Nintendo for some reason.
Well, he's on a lot of Nintendo systems because
Yeah.
he's family friendly, so may as well port him over.
A thing that eats ghosts and dots is family friendly. You gotta look at some of the old games and realize how simple the concepts were. Like, just...
Yeah, and it's funny to think that those concepts would still work these days, but they do, because that's why Flappy Birds did so well. I mean, everyone will talk shit about it and all that crap, but Flappy Birds was simple because it was challenging and people wanted to beat each other's scores, and that's what retro gaming was all about. It was like all you could do was go left, right, forward, back, or whatever. It wasn't even 3D. Sorry, up, down, left, right, and you'd have like one button which would jump, and that was retro gaming, and that's what Flappy Bird was. And I think regardless of age, that people will always want to outdo each other in life, and I think that a video game is fun. It just makes a fun spin on that whole
Yeah.
outdo your friends and be like, I am the best. Because when I was in grade school, you never do this anymore, but Super Mario still has scoring in it. Like, you collect coins and you get a score, but in
Yeah.
Super Mario now, you play it on Wii U and you're older and you never look at the score. But the reason that score is still there is because 7-year-olds are still going to school saying, I got 1,000,000 points, what did you get? And we don't do that anymore. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's interesting. I think it's interesting that a game like that could take off. I think it still says a lot about gamers, that they just want challenge. That's really what games should be about. And like getting back on Thief, unfortunately, the challenge is not there unless you put it on super hard mode, and then it's like ridiculously hard, and then it becomes a decent game. But again, I don't like I don't know about you, but I don't like to play a game that holds your hand.
Yeah, I'm not all about the casual game life. I also don't like playing ridiculously hard games either. Like, I like a challenge, don't get me wrong, but I won't be the type of person who goes on, like, there's, like, hard, very hard, hell, like, inferno. Like, I'm not all about that. That's too much for me. But I do like playing usually on normal hard. That's where I go.
Yeah, I think, like, it depends what game it is. If it's your favorite game, then you'll probably want to try to progress through all of it,
Yeah.
right? And see how good you can get at it.
Yeah.
For instance, like Mortal Kombat. The last Mortal Kombat for me, I started at amateur on purpose and went all the way to extremely difficult. And I think that it's about achieving something. And I think video games, for kids at least, when you get a high score and you're the best, you feel something that you've probably never felt before, especially with your peers at school. So it's, again, like, we could talk about anything at this point, but I'm just saying, like, challenge in video games needs to be there. So like the new Legend of Zelda is amazing because it doesn't tell you anything. It's just like, here's Zelda, or sorry, your Link, go out, do some stuff, and you're just like, holy shit. Like, it's the first Zelda game in a long time that doesn't hold your hand. And it feels great because you have no idea where to go. And that also brings in the whole sense of adventure. Same as Skyrim. When Skyrim starts, you have no idea where to go, and it's just like, go do whatever the hell you want. Those are the games I love.
Yeah, you can kind of get any quest and go any direction you want. You can just do all side quests, which is what I did in Skyrim. I was hell-bent on just doing side quests and avoiding the main quest. And it's crazy how much they put into that and how you could kind of do whatever you want. And I love that about games where there is no real right or wrong way or like a certain time when you should do things. You just kind of go at your own and make it what you want. I love
Yeah.
that.
Cool.
Cool.
Is there anything else? That's it?
No, that's it.
So you can check me out at 3kb. So there'll be a link in the ender bar. And follow me on Twitter and all that usual crap.
Yeah, me and him had an interesting conversation on Twitter before, which was pretty fun about Pop-Tarts. These are the kind of things you need in your life. You don't remember our discussion about Pop-Tarts that defined our friendship right there, if we were going to be friends or not. That was the moment. You don't remember this?
We were discussing which kinds and flavors and stuff, yes. And
you said strawberry frosted. Then I was like, okay, we can be friends. That was the moment.
You know, I tried the cookie dough filled one. It's horrible. Don't ever
That just sounds... There's a new cookie dough Oreo that I want to try more than life itself.
You know, I went to go buy it yesterday to play with Thief and be like eating the Oreos and milk, but
obviously
it's not in Canada.
That's because Canada's not as good as America.
Except at a lot of sports.
Well, you're just making that are you just saying that because of the hockey thing that just happened with the Olympics? Is that why you're saying that right now?
Well, we did beat you at both, the women's and men, so just...
Well, that's because hockey's lame. Everyone's gonna freaking unsub
And we have a lot of clean water that I'm sure in like 20 years you guys will turn into our enemies and try to come over here and take.
We're gonna invade Canada and make you part of America.
You know what's crazy? I honestly do believe that one day, somewhere in the future, America is going to come here for the water. Because if you look it up, there's no water left down there for you guys. Like, it's coming from here anyways. So eventually you're going to be like, we don't want to spend the money anymore. We're coming to kill you and take your water. So I'm worried about that.
I doubt we're going to kill you guys, but we probably will. I do see America being that kind of asshole to,
Haven't you seen Argo,
take it.
the Ben Affleck movie? We helped you.
Ben Affleck movie? Why would I watch a Ben Affleck movie?
I don't know.
Like, I'm gonna watch the new Batman movie coming out with him in it? No.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, he ruins movies. Like Daredevil.
Yeah, I don't know how they thought Ben Affleck could be a new Batman. But who knows? Maybe we're really dumb. Like,
it's the jawline, obviously.
Everyone saw the Joker for the first time, Heath Ledger, and was like, oh my god, this is horrible. And now he's like the best villain ever.
I think also part of that is just because he died. I feel like if he didn't die, he wouldn't have... He was good. Don't get me wrong,
well, I don't know about that. When I was watching it in the theater, I was like, this is the new all-time best villain I've ever seen ever. Like, beating Darth Vader.
But you know it's got that effect. It's like the painter effect back in the day.
But I said that before... Everyone said that before he died, and then he died, and yes, I'm sure a lot of people are like, okay, he's dead and it's amazing, but I honestly think it is the best. Even though he's
good.
Dead,
I'm not saying he's not good. He's good, but he also, to get good, what he did was a bit insane. Like, he was on drugs to be crazy. Like, that wasn't just him naturally. That was him doped the fuck up. So, yeah, I feel like he had a bit of help with being that good at that role. Mm-hmm. That's like a steroids type thing kind of going on.
Yeah, actors get into ridiculous modes when they're like Bruce Lee's son, which his name just escaped me.
Brandon?
Bruce Lee's... Yeah, Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
He literally said in an interview on set of The Crow that he would die to play the Crow in the movie, and he literally died a week
Really?
later.
He said that?
Yeah, there's a famous interview. So it's like, it's crazy to see these actors go out and same as like what's his name? Adrian. I can't think of the. Never mind. Whatever.
Okay, I would help you, but I don't know where you're going with it.
No.
No.
No, I can't come up with it. Adrian. I can't think of his name.
What's he?
Another actor who like put himself like in a room alone, literally for like a month, with just like 1 month's supply of food, I believe, and a washroom and nothing else. And it was like a World War I movie. He played piano in it. I think the movie was called The Pianist.
That's a funny word.
Did I even say that right?
The pianist, I think is the way you say it. It's just no matter how you say it, it sounds really funny.
I think it's because it should be why isn't it the piano guy?
Well, yeah, that has a very professional sound to it. The piano guy.
The pianist.
The pianoist, but yeah, that's not the right way to say it. It's the pianist.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
'Cause, fuck logic, I guess.
I guess so. I don't know who somebody came up with that.
I
They
think
must
that's
have
a
been.
great way to leave off on the podcast. Pianist. See you
All right.
guys next month.